At this very moment when these words reach your awareness, it is not an accident, not coincidence, and not random, because the universe never speaks without intention, and divine timing never arrives without purpose. You are reading this message because something within you has already shifted, even if your logical mind has not yet caught up. Your soul recognized this frequency before your thoughts did, and that is why there is a calm pull, a silent attraction, and a deep sense of familiarity flowing. Through you right now, the divine wants you to know that you are not behind. You are not late, and you have not missed anything that was meant for you, because what is truly yours moves toward you with precision beyond human planning. And today marks the opening of a new energetic chapter 1, where resistance dissolves and alignment begins effortlessly. You may have felt tired recently, not physically, but spiritually tired of waiting, tired of trying, tired of holding faith together when evidence was thin. Yet the divine watched every silent prayer, every tear you swallowed, every moment you chose hope over bitterness. And now the unseen is rearranging itself quietly, powerfully, and decisively to match the courage you showed when no one else was watching. Understand this clearly. The delay you experienced was not denial, it was preparation. Because certain blessings require you to become a different version of yourself before they can safely arrive, and you have been transforming even through confusion, even through pain, even through nights where you questioned everything. This message is confirmation that the storm phase is ending and the stabilization phase is beginning now. Opportunities will appear that feel natural instead of forced. Connections will form without effort, answers will come without struggle, and clarity will replace chaos. Step by step, your path is being illuminated, not all at once, but enough for you to walk forward with confidence. The divine is reminding you that you were never meant to carry everything alone. That is why help will now come in unexpected forms through conversations, timing, insights, and inner nudges that feel gentle yet firm. Trust those nudges because they are not imagination, they are guidance. Your intuition has been sharpened through hardship, and now it is reliable. Listen closely to what feels peaceful, not what feels urgent, because urgency is fear and peace is alignment. You are being guided away from overthinking and toward knowing a way. From chasing and toward receiving. The era of forcing outcomes is complete. The era of allowing divine flow has begun. And this shift will feel unfamiliar at first because your nervous system is used to struggle, but you do not need to earn rest. You do not need to prove worthiness. You are already approved by existence itself. Abundance is not something that arrives through exhaustion, it arrives through alignment. And right now, your energy is being recalibrated to receive more with less effort. The divine wants you to release the belief that things must be hard to be meaningful, because ease does not mean insignificance. Ease means mastery. It means you have learned the lesson and can now enjoy the reward your past version survived. So your present self could thrive, and your future self is already grateful for the choices you are making. Now, even the small ones, especially the small ones, because they are building momentum you cannot yet see. There is a quiet expansion happening in your life, and soon others will notice changes you made silently. They will call it luck, but you will know it was alignment. You will know it was faith practiced privately. You will know it was resilience refined through time. Remember this truth, whatever is. Leaving your life now is making space. Whatever is ending is completing its purpose, and whatever is approaching carries the answer to a prayer you once whispered with uncertainty. Do not cling to what feels heavy, because heaviness is a signal, not a sentence. You are allowed to choose lightness without guilt. You are allowed to outgrow people, places, and patterns without explanation, because growth does not ask permission, it simply continues. The divine wants you to stop doubting your pace, because your pace is perfect for your path. Comparison is noise, and your journey requires silence to unfold fully. When you feel stillness, do not panic. It is not stagnation, it is integration. A sacred pause where your soul catches up to your circumstances, and during this pause, miracles are quietly queued behind the scenes, waiting for the exact moment your energy can sustain them. You are closer than you think, closer than you feel, and closer than your fears will admit. The breakthrough you seek is not in the distance, it is in the decision to trust what is unfolding now, even without full visibility, because faith is not certainty. Faith is willingness to walk without guarantees, and you have already been doing that bravely longer than you realize today. The divine asks you to soften your grip, relax your shoulders, slow your breath, and remember that you are supported beyond what you can measure. The universe is not testing you anymore. It is responding to you, responding to your growth, responding to your resilience, responding to your readiness. This message is your sign to continue forward without dragging the weight of yesterday into tomorrow, because tomorrow already has its own gifts prepared for you, and they require open hands, not clenched fists. You are stepping into a cycle of alignment, clarity, and expansion, and this time it will feel stable, not chaotic, grounded, not rushed and fulfilling, not draining. Trust this transition, trust this timing, and most importantly, trust yourself, because the divine has never stopped trusting you. Peace is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is something you align with deliberately when you stop negotiating with fear and start honoring inner truth. And right now, your inner truth is becoming louder. Not aggressive, not demanding, but undeniable, like a steady rhythm that continues even when distractions try to drown it out. You are learning that silence is not emptiness, it is information, and stillness is not stagnation, it is calibration. The divine works most effectively when the mind is no longer arguing with the moment, and this is why certain delays were essential. They slowed you down just enough to hear what you were previously ignoring. You are no longer meant to live in reaction mode, responding to everything and everyone. You are being shifted into creation mode, where your choices originate from clarity rather than pressure. And this shift will immediately change the quality of your experiences. The people who meet you now will meet a different frequency. They will feel your groundedness before they hear your words, and some will be inspired, while others will feel uncomfortable. Both reactions are normal when authenticity enters a space. The divine is also reminding you that your worth is not measured by productivity or sacrifice. You do not have to exhaust yourself to be deserving, and you do not have to struggle to prove sincerity. What is genuine does not require performance, it simply exists. And this understanding is liberating. You are allowed to rest without guilt, to pause without explanation, and to move forward without dragging old narratives behind you, because those narratives already taught you what they needed to teach. Now they are complete, and completion deserves release. You are stepping into a chapter where your intuition becomes your primary navigation system. Logic will still assist, but it will no longer lead. This means you may choose paths that look unconventional to others, but feel undeniably correct to you. And that is the signature of divine alignment, when outer validation becomes optional and inner confirmation becomes enough. Notice how you are less interested in convincing and more interested in conserving your energy. This is maturity, not withdrawal. And with this maturity comes a new level of attraction. Opportunities will begin to seek you rather than the other way around, because aligned energy is magnetic. Effort repels, while authenticity draws, and you are becoming authentic with yourself in ways that cannot be reversed. Once truth is acknowledged, it cannot be unknown, and you have acknowledged too much to go back to shrinking patterns. The divine wants you to understand that expansion does not always feel like excitement. Sometimes it feels like calm, sometimes it feels like neutrality, and sometimes it feels like a quiet confidence that does not need to announce itself. This is the kind of expansion that lasts, the kind that supports your nervous system rather than overwhelming it. You are also being released from the habit of over-explaining your pain to be understood. Not everyone needs the full story, and not everyone is equipped to hold it. Wisdom teaches discernment, and discernment protects peace. Your peace is becoming a priority now, and from this priority, your decisions will naturally improve, because peaceful minds make accurate choices. The chaos that once surrounded you was not a reflection of your destiny. It was a reflection of unresolved alignment. Now that alignment is settling, the external will follow gradually, consistently, and unmistakably. The divine asks you to stay present during this unfolding. Do not rush to label outcomes or demand timelines. Trust the sequence, trust the order, and trust the intelligence moving through you, because it has carried you this far, even when you doubted it most. The next phase of your life will not be loud, but it will be solid. It will not seek attention, but it will command respect, and most importantly, it will feel like home to your soul. Because you are no longer trying to fit into a life that was never designed for your frequency. You shifting beneath ordinary awareness. A quiet intelligence is already reorganizing the pattern of your days even before your conscious mind labels it change, because real transformation rarely announces itself. It slips in through perception, through choice. Through the moment you respond differently to the same trigger you once feared. And this is where your evolution is now taking place. Not in dramatic declarations, but in subtle recalibrations that permanently alter your trajectory. You are no longer operating from urgency or lack. You are learning how to move from internal authority. And that authority does not need permission, it does not seek applause, and it does not negotiate with doubt. It simply decides and precedes the divine current. Supporting you now is less about protection from the world and more about strengthening your center so the world can no longer destabilize you. This is a higher form of support, one that creates resilience instead of dependency and stability instead of constant reassurance. You may notice that situations which once drained you now feel neutral, and conversations that once confused you now feel transparent. This clarity is not because others changed, it is because your perception sharpened when the fog of emotional noise cleared. You began to see accurately, and accurate seeing is power. The divine is training you to trust what you perceive without immediately translating it into fear or fantasy. Just observe, just register, just allow information to arrive without judgment, because neutrality is where wisdom grows strongest. The moment you stop labeling experiences as good or bad, you begin to extract their intelligence, and intelligence is the currency of long-term success. Not luck, not intensity, not constant effort, but refined awareness. This awareness is also teaching you patience of a different quality, not passive waiting, but active presence where you are fully engaged with what is in front of you while remaining unattached to. How it resolves this state dissolves anxiety, because anxiety lives in imagined futures while presence anchors power in the now. You are discovering that you do not need to control outcomes to influence them. Your alignment already does that. Your consistency already does that, and your integrity already does that. The divine is emphasizing integrity now because what is entering your life requires trust from multiple directions. Trust from yourself, trust from others, and trust from circumstances. Integrity creates coherence, and coherence attracts support without negotiation. You're also being removed from cycles of over-explanation. The need to be understood by everyone is dissolving because you finally understand yourself, and that understanding is sufficient. Not everyone will agree with your choices, but agreement is no longer required for confidence. This is emotional sovereignty, and it marks a significant milestone in human development. Many never reach it, but you are here. Because you chose introspection over distraction, honesty over performance, and alignment over approval. These choices compound quietly until one day your life reflects them back to you as stability, respect, and ease the divine wants you to recognize. Ease when it arrives and not sabotage it. Out of habit. Struggle is addictive to minds trained in survival, but you are no longer surviving. You are stabilizing, and stabilization feels unfamiliar. At first, it can even feel boring compared to chaos, but boredom is simply the absence of unnecessary drama, and within that absence, your true desires can finally be heard. Notice how your wants are changing, how you crave depth over volume, quality over quantity, meaning over momentum. This is not loss of ambition. It is refinement of ambition, and refined ambition builds legacies, not burnout. You're also stepping into a phase where time behaves differently. Moments feel fuller, days feel intentional, and your energy is no longer scattered across too many concerns. This concentration amplifies your impact because focused energy moves reality faster than frantic motion ever could. The divine is also restructuring your relationship with effort, teaching you that effort applied in alignment feels lighter than effort applied in resistance. This is why some tasks now flow while others feel impossible. Flow is guidance, resistance is redirection. Listen to both without judgment. One is not better than the other. They simply carry different instructions. Your intuition is becoming sophisticated, not impulsive, not emotional, but precise. It speaks through calm certainty rather than urgency, and you are learning to trust that tone because it has never misled you. It was only ignored before the next period of your life will reward discernment over speed, listening over reacting, and presence over prediction. You are being positioned for sustainable expansion, not rapid peaks followed by collapse. This is divine strategy, not delay, not denial, but intelligent. Sequencing your past prepared you. Your present is stabilizing you, and your future is already responding to the version of you that exists now, not the one you used to be. This is why returning to old habits feels uncomfortable. Your nervous system knows better now, and knowledge once integrated cannot be undone. The divine is not asking you to become someone new. It is asking you to stop abandoning who you already are, because wholeness has always been your natural state. Distraction simply pulled you away from it. Now your attention is returning inward, and from that inward clarity outward, results will follow in ways that feel proportional, grounded, and deserved. Unfolding beyond prediction, the intelligence shaping your life now is not reacting to the past. It is responding to your present awareness, because awareness is the only point where real power exists, and you have arrived there slowly, deliberately, and honestly without shortcuts. This arrival changes everything, even when nothing looks different on the surface. You are no longer moving blindly through patterns. You are moving consciously through choices, and conscious movement alters outcomes at their root. The divine influence guiding you now is subtle, refined, and precise. It does not interfere, it aligns. It does not force, it synchronizes. You may feel an unusual neutrality lately, not overly excited, not deeply troubled, simply steady and observant. This is not emptiness, it is equilibrium. And equilibrium is rare because it only comes when inner conflict reduces. You are no longer fighting yourself about who you should be or where you should go. You are beginning to listen instead of argue, and that listening is opening pathways that effort never could. The divine is teaching you that clarity is cumulative. It builds moment by moment, choice by choice, and once it reaches a certain threshold, confusion simply dissolves. It does not need to be. Defeated, it fades because it is no longer relevant. You are experiencing this fade now, and with it comes a new kind of confidence, one that does not need constant reinforcement. This confidence allows you to wait without anxiety, speak without overthinking, and act without self-betrayal. These are signs of inner alignment, not motivation, not discipline, but congruence between thought, emotion, and action. The divine values congruence because it creates integrity, and integrity attracts trust from people, circumstances, and life itself. You are also being invited into a different relationship with uncertainty instead of fearing it. You are learning to coexist with it. Uncertainty is no longer interpreted as danger, but as openness. And openness is where possibility lives. This shift alone removes a massive burden from your nervous system, freeing energy that was once trapped in worry and redirecting it toward creativity and presence. You may notice spontaneous insights appearing without effort, answers arriving without searching, and solutions emerging while you are focused on something else. This is not coincidence. This is what happens when the mind stops interfering with intuitive processing. The divine intelligence operating through you does not need constant supervision, it needs space. And you are finally giving it that space by releasing the habit of micromanaging outcomes. You are also releasing the need to be right. Being right is less important to you now than being aligned, and this priority shift is powerful because alignment corrects itself while ego defends itself. The divine prefers self-correcting systems, and you are becoming one. Your life will increasingly adjust itself when something is off without requiring dramatic breakdowns or crises. This is evolution, moving from corrective pain to corrective awareness. The next stage of your journey will emphasize sustainability. You will be drawn to environments, relationships, and goals that support longevity rather than intensity. This does not mean settling. It means selecting wisely. You have learned that intensity without stability is draining, and stability without meaning is empty. Now you are integrating both, and integration is the hallmark of maturity. The divine is also recalibrating your sense of timing. You are becoming less rushed and more intentional, understanding that speed is not efficiency. Clarity is, and clarity saves time, energy, and emotional resources. You may find yourself doing less yet, accomplishing more. This is not laziness, it is alignment in action. Your decisions are cleaner now, they carry less internal resistance and therefore require less recovery afterward. This is how aligned lives feel. Smooth, not because there are no challenges, but because challenges no longer fracture your center. The divine is strengthening your center so thoroughly that external movement no longer shakes it from this center. You will begin to influence others not by advice,